This is music, and this is another batch of songs from the Pukebox. There's actually no judgment of the artists or releases I talk about built into the title of this series. It's just a What's Spinning series. The title is just a bad pun, kind of based on my taste in music. As a lot of you know, I like death metal. A lot of death metal bands have a weird fascination with vomit. What's spinning? Jukebox, death metal, vomit, puke, jukebox, puke, pukebox, et voila, a bad pun. That's all there is to it. No need to get offended. In this episode, I'll talk about 5 CDs, four of which I just pulled randomly from my collection, and I've been listening to them lately. Starting with this one, Band-Maid Unseen World. My favorite Band-Maid album. It's their heaviest album, and I would say it's also their most complex album to date. It has lots of great songs on here. Starts out with Warning, which is a fantastic song. You have No God, which reminds me a little bit of The Ace of Spades by Motorhead. Of course, No God is much more multi-layered and multi-textured and more complex. You have Manners, which is kind of a groovy song and catchy song as well. There is I Still Seek Revenge, which is awesome. You got Sayonaki Dori, which is one of my favorite bandmate songs. That song is fronted by Kobato. Kobato's voice strikes me as being less schooled than Saiki's voice. So Kobato has a more vulnerable sounding voice and more emotional sounding voice, and that is perfect for a song like Sayonaki Dori. You have Black Hole, which is my favorite bandmate song of all time, their heaviest and fastest song too, maybe also their most complex song actually. And this one has, as a bonus track, it has Without Holding Back, which is an instrumental, which happens to be my favorite bandmate instrumental. It's guitar driven, driven by some cool guitar melodies and some tapping and all sorts of cool things by Konami. Great song, great album. This is another favorite album of mine. This is Celtic Frost, Vanity Nemesis. I've been a fan of this ever since it came out. This one I think is unfairly lumped in with Cold Lake. A lot of people hate Cold Lake, and that kind of has reflected badly on this one, which came out right after Cold Lake. Don't tell anyone. I actually kind of dig Cold Lake, but this one I think is much better than Cold Lake. To me, this is thrash metal, but kind of mid-paced thrash metal. A lot of the riffs are really meaty and they sound like thrash metal riffs that are slowed down a little bit. And I really enjoy that heaviness of the riffs. And you have so many awesome riffs on here. Just the opening track, The Heart Beneath, has some awesome riffs. This album also has some of the best Tom Warrior grunts you'll ever hear. Wine in My Hand, Third from the Sun is another fantastic song. That one has some more up-tempo parts. Great song. Wings of Solitude, I love that song too. And the chorus is sung by a woman, and it has vibes that remind me of like late 80s R&B and soul, which sounded much different from what R&B and soul sounds like today. It was actually good back then, in my opinion. Don't tell anyone. You have cover version of David Bowie's Heroes, and I like that cover version. A lot of people don't like it. This one has a great heavy guitar tone too. I love this album. I don't care what anybody else says. Maybe one reason why a lot of people don't like it is that Tom Warrior has this moaning style of singing. I kind of like that, if I'm being completely honest. I've also heard people speculate that they might be using a drum machine on this one. I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is I love this album and I don't care what anybody else says. Up next, you got some NYC hardcore, Madball Hardcore Lives. This is just the booklet. This came in a digipack, which I have stored safely somewhere else. The CD actually looks really cool. So this is straight up metallic NYC hardcore. So you have your hardcore punk riffs, but you also have lots of kind of thrashy and groove metal sounding riffs as well. A very metallic sounding guitar tone. Actually, this sounds like a cross between Propane and Agnostic Front, and that, of course, means it can only be good. Even the vocals remind me a little bit of Propane. So this is a great metallic NYC hardcore album. Love it. Up next, this is the one that I didn't pull randomly from my collection because it was just sitting on my table, so I just grabbed it. Nirvana Bleach. Bleach and Nevermind are the only Nirvana albums that interest me, but I do love those albums a lot. So Bleach doesn't even sound like Nirvana apart from the vocals. You can instantly recognize Kurt Cobain's vocals, but other than that, this is heavy and it's sloppy and it's a little bit sludgy too. The drums are admittedly not as good on this one as they are on Nevermind. But yeah, so this is like sloppy, sludgy, really heavy music. You can definitely hear the punk roots on this one. I wouldn't go as far as calling it sludge metal, but it is kind of sludgy sounding, very heavy. Um, doesn't sound like Nirvana at all, apart from maybe About a Girl. That is a song that could have been on Nevermind. But this is a great album. It doesn't have that miserablest approach that I recognize from all the other Nirvana albums, including Nevermind. This is just gritty and unorganized and sloppy and very punky and kind of sludgy. And if you're a Nirvana fan and you don't know Bleach, it is worth checking out because it sounds very different from all their other stuff. There are some things from here that they carry on, for sure, but a very dark and sludgy and sloppy album, and that's what I like about it. So there you go. And of last, another random poll. Yes, 90125. I love this album. Another hot take. A lot of people, a lot of old head rock fans don't like this because it's a pop rock album. And it is, and it wasn't supposed to be a Yes album. It was supposed to be released under the moniker of Cinema, but the label forced them into calling it a Yes album. So this to me is very sophisticated pop rock. You have Owner of a Lonely Heart on here. I love that song. Don't care what anybody else says. But that's the most straightforward song on this album, and that one already has some fun little details. A lot of the other songs, if not all of them, I would say it's kind of progressively leaning pop rock. Changes, I love that song. That's actually the song that got me into Yes. Um, you have some kind of a cappella kind of things going on. You have some great guitar work, a really polished sounding production, but it's the 80s, so what do you want? I think this is a great album. This is a pinnacle of 80s rock, and of course I have a soft spot for 80s rock. I grew up with that sort of stuff. So yes, 90125. I love this album. It's good fun. It's sophisticated. It's multi-layered and multi-textured again. 80s pop rock with some really cool stuff going on, some cool guitar solos in particular, and some cool vocal harmonies as well. Super catchy and memorable songs, but they're still, in my opinion, progressive. So there you go, a good handful of four random CDs and one that was just lying on my desk that I've been spinning and that I've been enjoying. Do check them out if you think they sound interesting. For now, thanks for watching.